UFC fighter Jim Miller calls for justice for P'Nut in victory speech. UFC fighter Jim Miller used his victory speech at Madison Square Garden to call attention to the pet political cause of P'Nut the Squirrel. Miller extended his own record for most wins ever in the UFC to 27 on Saturday night, but the New Jersey native had other things on his mind when host Joe Rogan met him for the post-fight interview. "New York, I got one thing to say. First, we need justice for P'Nut," Miller said after he quickly submitted his opponent Damon Jackson in the first round with a guillotine chokehold. The crowd began to roar some cheering, others booing the state in outrage at the mention of P'Nut, who was confiscated from his home and killed by New York State last month. "It's not just a squirrel," Miller continued. "It's all the kids that went hungry that night. And all the other things that the money and resources could have been put to. Hopefully that Doge cleans things up down at the state level," Miller concluded, referencing the newly minted executive branch project launched by President-elect Trump, Elon Musk, and former presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. A bemused Joe Rogan replied, "I like how you used your post-victory speech for a political rally." The saga of P'Nut the Squirrel has served as a major political motivator in conservative circles, becoming a pet cause of Elon Musk and even gracing the conversation of Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch. Conservatives have held the story up as an example of needless government intrusion and overreach. Earlier this week, state officials would later confirm that P'Nut was put to death as part of a rabies test.